Roxanne Fouche. I am an ADHD coach. In a past life, I have worked as a special education teacher and an educational therapist. And the question is, what can we do to help kids with ADHD or attentional issues, or people who are just kind of wiggly, who are needing to work in front of a computer a good amount of the day? And so, really thinking about what our bodies need and being able to recognize that the importance of the movement of the body allows us to keep our attention. So things like making sure that our kids, or us as adults, and we're working in front of the computer, have some movement breaks, that we're getting up, we're doing, we're walking around, we're going getting some water, we're doing something like that. We can also, as our kids are working in front of the computer, having handheld fidgets, like, this little ball. It's not distracting to anybody. It's not going to make a lot of noise. I tend, when I'm in meetings, to be a pen clicker, but there are ways that you can have, like styluses that don't make any noise, but there's like a little air bubble on top that can help. A lot of our kids, sometimes teachers will give kids, just for tests, gum to chew, and there's a reason for that, because it allows kids to do a little bit of movement, and it allows them to focus a little bit better. You could give kids something to drink with a non-plastic bendy straw or something like that. We can put like those long exercise bands that we have in different colors. They're different stretchy, a different amount of stretch. We can tie those in front of on the front legs of a chair that has 4 legs, and tie it around, and so then the legs of the child can be kind of bouncing against the exercise band, and it helps with attention. We can put kids in a swivel desk chair, like I'm wearing, using, or we can put them in a weighted exercise ball, so that they can use their core muscles in order to be able to to help them pay attention. There's another way of doing that, using a regular chair, putting them in kind of like some, depending upon where you get it, it would be called like a Wabble cushion or something like that. It's a convex cushion with air that is similar to a weighted exercise ball, where you need the muscles in your core in order to keep yourself upright and not kind of go over. But that helps a tremendous amount in terms of attention when we're sitting in front of the computer all day long. Start with something simple. I would start with the things that's not going to cost a lot of money, that's not disruptive to the kids. So I would probably start with some handheld fidgets. One of my favorites is getting an artist eraser. It's kind of like I forget what it's called, but you can use it as an eraser, but you can kind of squish it with one hand, not something that requires 2 hands, but something that you can squish with one hand. Actually, when kids are in school, they can actually use it as an eraser, but they can be, kind of manipulating it with their hand. It's not as sticky as some of the things that I forget what it's called. It's not as sticky as Play-Doh or something like that. It doesn't dry up, but it can be very helpful, and those are easily gotten through Amazon or Michael's or something like that. So something like that would be very helpful. Those exercise bands, very, very easy to find. And if the kids are sitting in a chair with 4 legs, that's a really easy way of doing it, and see if that's helpful. In a classroom, sometimes it might be a little distracting, because the kids can bounce their legs off of it and make a kind of a boing boing noise, and that might be distracting. But it's really important that any kind of fidget that kids are using is something that is respectful to other people. So even though my clicking a pen is helpful to me, okay, it's not going to be helpful to anybody who's sitting in a meeting with me. So we're going to want to do something that is not distracting to other people. So I would probably start with something like that. If kids really do need to move a lot, I would give them plenty of opportunity to get up and move. maybe, getting up, depending upon the way that the school is structured, when they're in front of the computer, depending upon how much time they have between periods or how long they're supposed to be in front of the camera, getting up and moving, whether it is taking a quick walk around the downstairs, going up and down the stairs if they have a 2-story home, whether it's going outside for a little bit, doing 20 jumping jacks, something, getting them out of their chair. All of those things are very easy to do and start with, but there's not one way of doing anything. I work specifically with people with executive function issues and ADHD or ADHD-like difficulties, but everybody needs something very different. So it's a matter of experimenting a little bit, which is why you start with the easiest things that don't cost a lot of money first. Usually there's, people come to me when there is a large enough gap between what it is that the person is capable of and the level of executive functioning that is being required of them. During this pandemic, I am very busy because there are a lot of students as well as adults with whom I work who are having great difficulty being able to manage the current environment. Online schooling is hard for everybody. It's just hard for everybody. It's hard for parents. It's hard for the kids. So when there is a big enough gap between what the students are capable of, it's some of the students with whom I work are having great difficulty with the variety of platforms and keeping all of that on track. Wait a minute, what am I supposed to do? How am I supposed to keep track of all of this? There are lots of things that coaches can do in terms of being able to help students get very personalized strategies, tools, and habits that are going to serve the students. And so typically people come to me, parents come to me when they see that this is a child who's really struggling, who is having some major questions about what self-efficacy, that sense of I can do this, who are having a lot of avoidance of tasks, a lot of procrastination, a lot of difficulty with memory issues. Wait a minute, I finished this, but did I turn it in? Did I not? So it requires a tremendous amount of self-regulation and a tremendous amount of organization that does not come easily for anybody. Okay, and as students go higher and higher in school, the requirements from the school environment can be a mismatch between what it is that students can naturally do and what it is that the school environment, including pandemic environment, is requiring of them. These are appropriate for everybody. Sitting in front of a computer, working in front of a computer all day long is not natural for anybody. It's particularly difficult for kind of wiggly people, who need to move in order to be able to think. It's particularly difficult for people who have diagnosed ADHD or executive function issues. But really I used to be a special education teacher. Good special education techniques are good for all students. And so all of these things are appropriate for everybody, whether somebody has a diagnosed ADHD or not. People can contact me via email, roxannefouche@gmail.com. So Fouche is like touche, Fouche.